can you have those names on top of it?
No. Hi everyone. So we are going to get started with the webinar. Can you just if you can hear me clearly, could you just say yes or something? Okay, awesome. So we're gonna just get started with the introductions. I'm Ramani. I work in the Boston office as a software engineer. This is Christian right here. He works with me in Boston office as well. Uh, and this is Talha right here. And these two are from the New York office. So I'll quickly just say what this webinar is about. So firstly, we'll just run through the schedule of Super Sad Day. Me and Talha are gonna talk about how the whole day is designed for you guys, and then we can jump onto the questions. You guys can ask us questions about anything about Super Sad Day, about NextJump, anything you guys want to know more about us. You can use the chat window and ask us the questions. So we're gonna dive into the schedule. At 9, you guys are supposed to come in and check in at 9:30 in the Boston office, and then we'll have a breakfast set up over here. And at 10, we're gonna start off with the kickoff. We're gonna have some speakers in the next jump from the office, talk about a few things about our product, about our culture, etc. Once that is done, we'll have the skills test basically. So the engineers will be having their technical coding interviews, and then the business candidates will be having this practicals for them. And that goes on from 10:50 to 1 p.m. You do have a break of 10 minutes between two sections. And then we have lunch from 1 to 1:30, followed by career fair. So career fair is nothing but we have 30 minutes of career fair where we have booths from different teams in NextJump to where you can approach those booths and get more information about what they work on. And then the next part, so I'll take over.
Yeah. So I'm sitting bit far from the mic. So if you can't hear me, just write down in the chat. So after the career fair is after the lunch. Yeah. So after the career fair, it'll actually be the part where we attract the most with next jumpers, and those are basically our behavioral or cultural interviews. So it's about a 2-hour section, which would have which would basically have 3 interviews. So you'll be speaking with 3 neck jumpers, and one of those section, a 30-minute section, would be where you'll get a culture tour of NextJump. So it could be that you first get a culture tour, then you have 3 consecutive interviews, or it could be that you have an interview, then a culture tour, and then 2 consecutive interviews. So that would be random determined on the day of Super Saturday. The idea behind cultural interviews is obviously for next jumpers to know you better, where you come from, how basically about your personality trait, and then also for you to ask us questions. So that's the time you actually can interact and ask us questions easily. After the cultural interviews, there's actually going to be a team challenge where all the candidates are going to be divided into teams of 6, 5 or 6, and they'll be given a problem to work on and as a team and then present it. One thing to note is there's a competition aspect to the team challenge where you'll be competing with one other team. So all the details would be basically revealed on the day of Super Saturday. So that was so after the team challenge, that's basically the end of all the test or the testing part of Super Saturday. And after this, we basically have a lot of good food, and there's some froyo, and you're going to be we're going to gather up at one spot, have some froyo, relax, mingle, and this is basically the time before the keynote, which I think is basically the highlight of the day, where our co-CEOs, both who will come from New York, Charlie and Megan, they're actually going to talk to you guys. They'll present to you about NextJump, about our culture, and about bigger problems facing organizations at this time. you'll have a chance to ask questions to Charlie and Megan, talk about whatever's on your mind, whatever you're concerned about, and that's it. That would be the end of Super Saturday. You guys would probably go back to your hotels, or if you're from Boston, back to your places, and Next Jumpers will actually gather in Next Jump in this office, and then we'll go through all the details of the day. Cool.
So I think that was it from what we wanted to share with you guys about what the day will look like. We're open to any questions that you guys have. So I know there's like a couple of seconds lag at least. So we'll give it another 2 minutes for you guys to start writing any questions that you have for us, and then we can try and answer those for you.
So I guess while you guys are thinking about questions and writing down questions, one thing we wanted to tell you about is the Next Jump is basically all the Next Jumpers who are working very hard to make Super Saturday happen. So there are a lot of about 25 Next Jumpers coming from the New York office. So I'm here from New York, Monica's here from New York, and we're actually working really hard to make sure it's actually a good day for you. Make sure everything is perfect and you guys have an awesome experience. So we want you to always an interview. We want you to come and we want you to have fun, get to know what Next Jump is about, how it feels to be a Next Jumper, and actually get the full experience of what a day for Next Jumpers is like at Next Jump. So we're actually really excited for you to be coming here. We have a question, I think. No. Just feel free to ask us any questions, anything which is on your mind. You will not be judged for anything you say right now.
So we're starting to get questions. We'll take them one at a time. Everybody's questions will get answered. If I miss something, make sure to call it out. The first question from Mansi is, what would be the nature of the culture interviews? Stella, you want to take that?
Mm-hmm. So it's a very subjective question, Mansi. So the idea behind the cultural interviews is obviously, as I said, for us to know you better and for you to know Next Jump. So it involves a lot of things. We think like candidates need to succeed as a Next Jumper. People, how would a candidate be more compatible with how Next Jump thinks of a company, how we think of an employee, how we think of ourselves as a family. So it's not it's very difficult to give, let's say, these are the kind of questions what we'll be asking, but the idea would be to know you better as a person. It could depend on the interviewer, how the conversation goes, what kind of questions you have. That could also drive the conversation with the interviewer. But it's more flexible, especially this part of the interview. Um, so it's a very subjective question.
Yeah. I would say just one thing to add on to that. So we are doing the technical portion of the interview day beforehand. So we do suggest that unless like you can't think of any other answers to these culture related questions, that you kind of stay away from like your academics, your kind of technical experiences. Just like kind of talk about you. We want to get to know you better. You don't have to be too personal, but we're trying to gauge you like as a person. Yeah.
Another thing I would add is what we usually tell candidates is, be yourself during this part of the interview. It's usually very easy to tell when someone is, giving textbook answers or prepared answers. Just be yourself. The questions are specific to you. We want to know you better. So don't let there be a wall between you and the interviewer. Be open.
Okay, so the next question I think I'm going to direct towards Ramani. Saurabh wants to know what tools and technology DevOps engineers use at NextJump. Ramani or Christian?
Yeah.
There's nobody else.
I can
Yeah.
talk about for the test.
I think it's more specific to technology.
So unfortunately, just so, as you
Yeah,
see the
yeah.
confusion, there's 3 web developers and I work on the business end, so we don't have as much detail. We can try and tell you as much as we know, and then if that doesn't answer your question, like let us know and we'll be sure to like email you with a better answer than what we can give
Right,
right
we
now.
have we have some understanding as to
Yeah.
Go
We
for
can,
it.
like rattle off the technology. It's like,
Go for it.
there's
so take this answer as coming from a web developer, if it sounds off. But whenever we have to deal with DevOps, so there's like a lot of technologies, especially setting up our development environment. We use Chef for environment controls. We also have a lot of Jenkins processes set up. All our error logging goes to Splunk. So we have all the Splunk logs. So these are these are very few tools which I have used which fall in the DevOps domain. I know we're setting up Docker containers for different services. We just started doing it in the last few weeks. Anything else?
Nagios.
Yeah. So,
We just
So
We
Saurabh?
do use Nagios, yeah. We do some work with some AWS technology too when it comes to data backup in case of like any critical database failures. Yeah. Vagrant to kind of provision our Chef VMs.
should be under
Yeah.
the core.
So the next question, I think Saurabh, if this wasn't the answer you were looking for, like feel free to shoot any one of us a note and then we'll try and explain that better. By which I mean shoot one of these three a note and they might be able to help you better. The next question is from Nupur, who was asking about the 3 interviews in the behavioral section. I think Tala kind of covered that in the first one. So Nupur, if that didn't answer your question, like write back and we'll elaborate some more on it.
If you have any specific questions regarding, let's say, the culture interviews part, feel free to write it down. But I hope I was able to elaborate on the culture part of interviews in the first question.
Sneha wants to know by what time the event ends on Saturday.
Yeah,
7?
yeah, 7.
I think you'll be done. You guys are free to go home or go wherever by 7 p.m.
Yeah, most of the time.
More often than not.
So as we said in the schedule, so the last part is actually a keynote presentation by our co-CEOs, Charlie and Megan. And so it depends how long the presentation goes, depends on the question and answer session. Sometimes a lot of candidates have a lot of questions, so it can go a bit over time. But I would say 7 is a decent average.
Like the talk is scheduled for like 6:15, so it's gonna start there, and yeah.
So Mohita wants to know, how has NextJump shaped you personally and professionally? I think I can try and answer one part of it and then one of these guys can pitch in as well, just because it'll be different for everyone. I think both personally and professionally have understood things about me that I didn't think I could do before. So I also joined here just like you guys right after school and went through the same process as you did. And then 2.5 years into this, I think professionally and personally, I've grown more and learned a lot more about myself and how I can do both right and wrong and how I can do better. So I think that's more personally. Professionally, I lead more than one team now, which is not something I had thought I would do right out of school. So that's where I see it. If anybody else wants to pitch in on either the personally or professionally part.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to my experience a bit. So I'm in a web development role now, not actually a web developer by college standards. So I studied video game design in school and actually had a minor in web dev. And through that, it's kind of a totally different world when it comes to like graphics programming as opposed to web itself. So I mean, I was kind of nervous coming into a full-time position using technologies like I had only minored in. So definitely, like NextJump has definitely helped me grow technically in that regard. We introduce you to all different sorts of languages. Like I had never even touched Golang before I started working here. So it's been pretty cool to pick that up. And there's just a lot of room to experiment when it comes to like your tasks with building a new product or a new feature. And you can kind of go about it however you'd like. I mean, obviously, like it has to be optimized, but like the technologies that you use, you can use something that's already in our stack. If you want to bring something new in that you have experience with, kind of like how we did for our mobile apps recently, you have the ability to do that too. So coming from that video game design experience, like I was honestly a pretty awkward person. So I'd say personally, I've come out of my shell more. It's easier for me to talk to people because I usually just enjoy working solo. But when it comes to something like an e-commerce site as big as this, there's no way you can do everything by yourself. So it's been good. Everyone I work with here is really nice. So yeah.
He stopped at the really nice and thought about it.
So Kristen talked like the professional part really well. I just wanted to add something to the personal part. So just to mention, so like when I told you, all of us here are trying to contribute to Super Saturday. So Ramani is actually captaining Super Saturday, which means she is responsible for all the minor details which happen on the day of Super Saturday. All the way from what candidates are coming, what's being served for food, what's happening on the interview section, like each and every detail, she's the one responsible. Ramani is basically a web developer, so she hasn't majored in event management or anything like that. So this is one example of all the opportunities you get to grow personally. So I captained Super Saturday 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago. Yeah, it was 2 years ago. Kristen has captained Super Saturday. Monica, who basically has she's not an HR, but she basically has the campus recruiting team. So these are like just a few examples that all NextJumpers, apart from the professional work, for example, coding for me, we are also involved on the cultural side of NextJump, and that's where our personal development comes from. To give you an example, I know, like coming out of school and everything, I used to suck at multitasking. But when you have to do so many culture initiatives or Captain Super Saturday, then this is the point where you experiment, you grow, and you make yourself better in things you're not good at. So NextJump actually has these very, I would say, tailored programs. We call them human capital initiatives, and basically they're designed to help you grow personally.
The next question, I think Ramani will probably, or Ramani or Christian, will the technical rounds be the same for everyone based on their profile, both front end and back end?
Yeah, the answer is yes. We'll be having we are looking for like a full stack engineer. So the test will involve both front end and back end questions. So basically, like I think the study guide covers most of it. So it's like HTML, CSS, PHP, and SQL. So you'll be tested on both.
So I think that being said, although we're looking for an ideal full stack developer, a lot of candidates have like favorites. Some candidates have more interested in front end, some candidates are more interested in back end, which I think is fine. But being open to the other side, if you haven't had a lot of experience on the back end or the front end, being open to learning about it.
And keep in mind that the culture interviews are pretty much weighed just as heavily as these technical screens. So like if you feel that you really messed up on one part of the technical test, like that, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Like we've had people join that do actually pretty poorly on the technical piece, but like they killed it on the culture interviews. We love speaking with them. So don't get too stressed out. That's it.
Yeah.
The next question, I think definitely Christian. What are the cool things about the Boston office?
Yeah. So I'm from here, a little west of here, but I mean my personally favorite part is the gym. So you guys will see it when you go on your culture tour, but like we have this awesome gym with all like great equipment, and you kind of just get to like go work out at any point of the day whenever you'd like. For the Boston office, it's extremely big for the amount of people that are here. I'd say there's like 25,000 square feet for, I don't know, 30 people. So there's just a ton of room. Great food, great snacks. Yeah.
I think one thing, I'm not from Boston, but I work in the New York office. One thing I can add is so Boston office like a culturally a little different than New York office. So people are much more closer here. I think the office space has a lot to do with it. It's very open. It's a very open environment. So Boston, I think it's amongst like the Boston culture, like people are very close. They're very much like a family.
Yeah, I agree. And just the area in general that the office is located in, like there's 5 different bars right downstairs. We're in like the main part of Cambridge, and everything's really accessible from the public transportation. So like if you ever want to go have a lunch that, I don't know, it's not very close. I mean, there's just so many options when it comes to that. So that's another cool thing. Location.
Yeah.
So the next question is for the team challenge, will candidates for business side and software sides mix together, or will it be a separate team challenge for different roles? For the team challenge, like he explained, everybody will be split into groups of 5 or 6, and it won't be based on whether you're technical or business side. Everybody's mixed together. The main reason being within NextJump, I don't think there's any team that like functions by itself. Most teams, every team will actually, for any project, will have both business and technical people involved together. So like one good way to test that is to put people together for Super Saturday as well. So in short, yes, it will have both business and tech together. The next question is there any difference between NYC and Boston office in terms of technical projects and respective teams to work on? Personally, no, I don't think. Other than DevOps, which is, there's a few teams, but I think web developers would be
It's different.
okay. They go for it.
So it's a not very easy answer. It also depends on what NextJump is focusing on in terms of project. But generally there is some difference. The Boston office, so most of the engineers in Boston office are on the DevOps side, on the system engineering side. There are a few web developers. New York office is primarily web development. So most of the web products which are being built, they're I would say primarily New York. And there are some projects with generally Boston office is focusing on, then the Boston developers tend to work on it. So just to give you an example, you'll learn more about this when you come to NextJump on Saturday. So Boston office currently is working on like NextJump's OS for Culture, which is basically a suite of Android and iOS applications designed to help companies run their company better. At the same time, New York is focused more on our core business, which is post network, working on personal product, building new things, maintaining and improving the existing product. But it doesn't mean this is always how it is. In a few months, our priorities would change. We change our project, so it's more fluid. So any answer we give you right now might not hold in a few months.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Tala. I mean, most of our core commerce work comes out of the New York office. I mean, the Boston developers do still work on the core product, more of like the platform level. So kind of like the key pieces like login, registration, things like that. We have our own emailing system that we built in-house. So the development and maintenance of that is also out of the Boston office. But as Tala said, most of like the core revenue driving projects come out of the New York office.
So the next question, I'm guessing Tala will take, or if anybody else wants to take it. Did any of you worked previously? If yes, what's the difference between that and NextJump? My question is more towards learning opportunity or opportunity to grow, personality development.
So I've worked before, not a lot, but I worked for a year right out of my undergrad, and I mean I don't know if I should take this name or not, but I worked at a big media company in the technology department, and I think the biggest difference is the culture. And the culture affects your growth and your happiness so much that I can actually like see this like such a stark difference. Um, Not to talk about like the other companies I worked at, but like talking like what's different at NextJump is like over the years we basically build this culture where it's very easy for you to be yourself and be open about it. And the idea of every NextJumper working on their weakness is like so intrinsic to the cultural fabric here. So for example, so I know what Monica is working on personally right now in terms of her, what's her weakness, what's her impediment. So each next jumper is made aware of their own impediment that they can work on. Similarly, Christian has his own idea what he's working on. People Christian works with in Boston office, they know it locally. So which basically means that Christian is working with them, they would actually hold him accountable when they see that he's not practicing on his weakness as well. This is something which is not very true for other companies. And I think just the fact that people are so aware of their weaknesses, that's actually a big step in terms of overcoming them.
Like going off of that, like when I was doing my co-op, I was in a company where like I was just put onto a project. I had no idea where to go off, and then I'm really bad at asking for help. So I just like ended up like spending so much time just like thinking about like how to figure it out myself instead of like asking for help. But that is something I got called out in NextJump, and it's like it helped me so much. Like right now, I'm able to captain Super Saturday because of being held accountable for that. So personally, yeah, it's like huge difference where people actually care about you, and then point out that this is where you're like going wrong and point you to the right direction, etc.
Mhm.
So the next question is, what does the technical interview look like for business interns? And I'm going to answer like the next two together because they're kind of similar. Can you elaborate on the business practicals a little? Would it be case studies or presentations? So the business practical or the skills test for business interns and business full-time will be the same, if that helps, Haley. And what that would entail is wouldn't be case studies as much. Yes, it will be. It's mainly just to judge your basic business skills. So it's not like we're going to go into one specific skill. It is going to be to see whether you can make business decisions based on you. If you have a set of data, do you know which way to go, or do you know how to present that data as well? So it'll be, I think it'll be a mix. What we usually will try and do is it's a mixture of testing all of your skills. So yes, you will have a business problem that we will present to you. You'll read through that, understand it, and then present it to a next jumper. And it will test your not managerial, but decision making skills and how much of whether it's Excel or it won't be in specific, it's a few different things that you will try to put together. If that doesn't help, like ask me again and I'll try and explain it some more. The next question was, do you get to choose the location or how is it assigned? So I think like they were mentioning, it will depend. Of course, like your choice is taken into consideration, but then we will also see what the company needs at that time. So that's not to say that you will be forced to choose one particular location, but we'll like mutually decide at that point what the business needs as well as what you are most comfortable with. Hi Harsh, nice. I'm glad you're watching us. So
Do you have any more questions? No?
for now, these were all the questions we have. We'll still give you a couple of minutes if anybody else can think of any other questions that you want to ask us. Otherwise, we're good. But another 2 minutes if anybody has any other questions.
Just to branch off of Monica's last answer, you definitely have some flexibility when it comes to your office selection. Not so much at this point with San Francisco, just because we don't have too much leadership out there. So we are looking to move some people out towards San Francisco, but you probably wouldn't start there. As like a web developer or a business person, like you'd have a choice, like a strong choice between Boston and New York. Typically, our DevOps team is based out of Boston, but we do have a few in the New York office. That's just kind of like where most of the teams are at.
Yeah. One more, you want to say the question? And
So I think the next question Salah is going to take was, does NextJump practice waterfall or agile methodology?
so it's a good question. So we're definitely more towards agile, but I would say we are agile 2.0 in a way. So it's a very rapid style of development, and then really think fast. So one of our philosophies around developing is like you release something fast and then iterate on it again and again, and it happens much faster than some of the other companies around. So it would basically mean that you're given a very short amount of time to solve a problem, get it out there, see how the solution works, and then keep on iterating on it. So it's more towards agile, but I would say it's even more intense and dynamic than agile.
Yep, I agree. So we like depending on what team you're on, you might have like an organized 2-week sprint where you all set certain goals. You have like daily briefings, kind of tell where you're at. But yeah, the methodology here does change from time to time. So
Still give it 2 minutes.
yeah.
I'm going to tell about the calm before the storm.
We have another question. What will the technical interview look like for a DevOps role? Anybody?
So I guess one thing we can do is, given that neither of us is a DevOps person,
The next two
we don't want we
questions
don't
are
yeah
DevOps.
we don't want to give you a question which an answer which might not be 100% right. So we can get back to the DevOps candidates, especially Guriyaj, Vinita, and Saurabh, unless you have something to add.
We'll reach out to the DevOps team with these questions, put them together, and we'll reach out to you guys
With an
with
answer
the
by
good answers.
But Vinita asked, for DevOps team, would it be the coding challenge and the behavioral round, or will there be some interview on chips and other DevOps technologies?
So as far as I know, the first round of your skills test will be a multiple choice based on like DevOps. And after the 10 minutes break, you'll have to like work with a computer. Like you'll be given like a VM machine. I don't know the details of it, but it will be like a DevOps test, and that is separate from the behavioral rounds. So once you're done with your skills, um, once you're done with your skills test, you'll have like a lunch break followed by career fair, and then you'll have the behavioral round with the rest of the candidates.
I think one way I would explain it is until noon. So you'll be giving your like specific skills test. If you're a business, then the business test, DevOps, and the DevOps test. For web dev, there'll be a web dev test. But after like the lunch and career fair, it doesn't matter what stream you're from. Everyone will have the same schedule. If the fact that you're an engineer or a business or DevOps wouldn't affect your Super Saturday at all. So that would become irrelevant after that.
So, but then, like, even with these answers, we'll make sure we send you a better like DevOps technical interview stuff to all the DevOps guys. How long is the technical round?
So you're like everybody. This to like all the candidates, no matter like which role that you're applying for. Your first round for your skills test will be for 45 minutes, followed by a break of 10 minutes. And then the second one will be for 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Christian, I think the next one you can help with is, could you please give an overview of your day at NextJump, like the web developer profile? So they want to know from one of you guys what your day looks like.
Okay.
Go for it.
Yeah. So my days are honestly a bit unstructured. So
The gym.
yeah. I come in and work out in the gym every morning at like 7 o'clock. So I start working around 9. Everyone here at NextJump has like their core projects that they're working on, and Taha kind of touched on it before, but everyone also has their human capital engineering initiatives. So mine is I'm the Fit Nut captain here in Boston, so that means I'm responsible for anything fitness related, health and wellness, the dinners that come every night, the food that we stock our kitchen with. So you do have those responsibilities on the side, but most of your time is dedicated to your core projects. Me personally, when it comes to the mobile app development push, I am working on one of our apps that is being used across. We're starting to roll it out to new, smaller orgs. So that's something I do pretty regularly. You also have a TP, which you'll be hearing about a lot throughout Super Saturday. It's your talking partner. So you usually set aside time to talk with a specific person. Talk about what's on your plate, kind of strategize how you're going to attack the day, what needs to get done, if you need help on anything. Yeah. I don't know if yours is different.
So even in the New York office, so my day starts a bit later. So I'm actually in bed when Christian is in the gym. So I get to the office around 10. And again, the day starts with the code project you're working on. Like for me, it's about more on the CRM side, email marketing, creating new emails, improving the email system. And then depending on the culture initiative you're a part of. For example, I'm a part of recruiting and Super Saturday. So some culture initiatives are more season-based. So right now I'm spending more time on my cultural initiative side, so more time on recruiting and Super Saturday than on the revenue side. Just because like recruiting is so important at this time. But after the season is done, after Super Saturday is over, then the balance will flip more towards revenue. But yeah.
So the next question is from Haley, who wants to know what would be the proportion of potential interns to potential full-time hires at Super Saturday. So I think, like in short, I don't think we've ever gone into a Super Saturday thinking we're going to get this many interns or this many full-time hires. The whole idea behind that is we hire, like, once you're hired, you're part of our family. So we don't go in thinking we want one person or two. If at the end of Super Saturday, if we like you, then whether we like 5 people or just 1 or 10, that's how many people will take. So it won't be, oh, we have 5 interns, so 5 full-time or whatever that is. There's no number to it. It's if we like you, and like if you pass, you're a next jumper. You're not competing with the number of people here. You're just competing, like, as bad as funny as it sounds, you're competing with yourself. Like you pass, we're not comparing you to other people to become a next jumper.
So we've had years, especially for interns, where we had, 18 interns, and we've had times, when we only had 4 interns. So there's no set rules to this.
If anybody else has any last minute questions.
I have a question for Ramani.
Of course you do.
Ramani, what's the most exciting part of Super Saturday?
Like personally, when I attended Super Saturday, I think the pre-event was the most exciting part. First, like because it was the first time I was meeting like next jumpers, and the first time I would potentially be like meeting somebody who would interview me the next day. So I was just like, okay, like I'm gonna go and be like super sincere, like even though they're like it's like a very casual setup, I'm gonna be like super good and everything. But then going in that like made me feel so much better about Super Saturday, because like I got to like speak to so many next jumpers. Like mine was in New York, so we went to a place with ping pong tables. So we played like a lot of ping pong, and generally like got to know more about what Super Saturday is gonna look like. And everybody was like so warm and welcoming. So I think that was like the most exciting part for me. It just helped me like be more relaxed and be myself on the day of Super Saturday.
So basically, if anyone is confused about coming to the pre-event, you can still change your mind. It's a great opportunity to get comfortable before Super Saturday and get to know next jumpers, because you'll be spending an entire day with them that day.
All right, guys, do you have any other last questions?
So we can start wrapping it up.
Cool. So thanks everybody for coming and joining again. So we'll all see you. Like for everybody who's coming tomorrow, we'll see you tomorrow. And for everybody who cannot make it to the pre-event, please try to. Otherwise, we'll see you on Saturday. Thank you.
Bye, guys.